Hello everyone, welcome to UiPath Tutorials. In the previous session, we learned about how to work with remove data column activity. In this session, we are going to learn about how to work with remove data row activity by using data table. Let me switch to Excel and I will show you the scenario over here. If you observe on my screen that I'm having student name and class and respective subject marks. So these data I'm going to store in the data table by using Excel application scope that we are aware of that one. Let's assume if I want to delete some records of data from this data table, how can I go ahead and do that by using remove data row activity? Let me switch to UiPath Studio. Now I have already created the sequence with the name of remove data row, and then I am reading the data. I'm opening the Excel by using Excel application scope, and then I'm going to read the data by using read range activity, and then I'm going to store the output in the data table that is with the name of var data table. Now, what we have to do from this data table, which we are having the entire data, out of that, I want to remove particular data row. How can I go ahead and do that? Let me go to the activities and I'm searching for remove data row. If you see under programming, under data table, I'm having remove data row. Let me drag and drop onto the panel. Now, if you observe the properties of the remove data row, we are having three inputs. One is data table. That is what we are going to work with. The data table on which data table that we are going to work with. Another one, row on which data that we have to remove. That you can see the data row object which is to be removed. And you can see row index. Row index, the index of the row has to be removed. So here also, as we have seen in the remove data column, we don't have any kind of column name or row name over here. Okay, we have only index and the row. Now I will explain you both the things in this session. First of all, we'll see with the row index, how the data will be stored in the row index, right? If you see over here, I'm going to store while I'm going to read range, I'm adding headers. So it will skips row headers, right? It will skips this value from the data table in the sense it will be there, but indexing will be starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So the data row indexing will be starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on by skipping to the columns. Now let me go ahead, let assume I want to delete this row that is 0, 1, 2. I want to remove this with the student name Sunday. I have to remove at the which is at the position of 3. Now let me go ahead to the remove data row and then I'm going to use the index 3. I'm just giving the value 3 over here. And what is the data table? I'm having the input is var data table, which is the output of the read range activity, right? Now let me go to the activities and I'm going to give write range activity. And I'm going to search for write range so that under Excel, under write range, I'm going to drag and drop onto the panel. Now, if you see over here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give the sheet name over here as sheet 5. And then starting cell is A1. And what is the data table? What is the output coming from the remove data row, right? That is var data table. I'm going to do modification, the same thing, right? Let me go ahead, let me save the bot. Now let me run the bot. If you observe, the sheet 5 has been created. Now if you see over here, I don't have any headers, right? So it has been taken some other value, right? As a write range property, I have to give add headers. Now we'll go ahead and we can run the bot. Now if you observe, I don't have sheet 5, it has been just created, and you can see Ajay has been deleted. Why this Ajay has been deleted? You can see 0, 1, 2, 3. The index for the 3 is Ajay. That's the reason it has been Ajay has been deleted. The entire row has been deleted, and then it is going to be storing without Ajay, right? Let me go back and we can see remove data that we have given the index as 3 over here, right? This is how we are going to remove the row from the data table by using remove data row activity. Now we'll see another input that is row. How can we go ahead and by using row? So we have to make a little bit changes over here before going to do that. So over here for the data row, you have to pass the entire data row. You have to pass it to delete the data. How can I go ahead and do that? So for the data row, I'm going to the variables and I'm going to create a variable where data row is the variable which I'm going to create. And the variable type that I'm going to give it as I don't find system.data.data row. I'm going to browse for the files and I'm getting that row from system.data. Under system.data, you will find data row. Okay, let's click on OK. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to read each and every row from the read range. And if it is matches, then only I can go ahead and delete that row based on the values. Now, so to read, I have read the data by the data table I have shown in the data table, but each and every row, how can I go ahead and read that? How can I fetch the values from the data table? By using for each row. Let me drag and drop for each row activity onto the panel. Now, what is the input for this? Var data table. I'm going to read each and every row over here from the var data table. Now, I want to delete this Ajay, right? So I'm going to take this name. So based on the name that I want to, right? So how can I go ahead and do that? I'm going to use if condition over here. Whenever the row of student name is Ajay, then only I'm going to store the value in the data row, which we have given as a variable var data row, and I'm going to delete from that data table. That is how I'm going to work with. Now let me go ahead, let me do that. Okay, I'm going to give if condition. Let me drag this statement onto the panel into the body. Now, what is the expression that we have? I want to check it out. Row of student name. I want to, compare this value with Ajay. Okay, what is the value that we have to? That is Ajay. Okay, how can I go ahead? I'm going to check if it is the condition true or false by using string dot equals to. Okay, I'm going to use equals of row of student name dot comma Ajay. Okay, then if it is true, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to add this row to the var data row. Okay, now I'm going to assign that value by using assign activity. Now var data row equal to entire row, I'm going to save it. Okay, now once the else conditions, I'm not going to give anything. Okay, if the condition is matches, if the student name is Ajay, then I'm going to store this row into the data row, var data row. And after that, once the for each has been completed, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this row from the data table. How can I go ahead and do that? By using remove data row. Okay, this remove data row, we're going to use what is the row name which we have been defined, right? Var data row. I'm just going to give the same thing, var data row. Okay, and then I'm going to give it the data table as var data table is the data table which we are having, right? Now I will give some other name because of Ajay we have already known, we have deleted in the same session, right? So that I will take some other value. Which value I can take it? I can take Shilpa. Okay, now I'm going to change the values over here. Now let me save it. So what does it mean? Whatever the name student name Shilpa that we are having it out of this Excel or the data table, from the data table, we want to remove that row and then we have to store it in another sheet, right? And let me go ahead, let me clear this. Now let me go ahead, let me run the bot. Now if you observe, sheet 5 has been created and you can see Shilpa is not available. Let me go to sheet 1 to compare this. You can see at the seventh row in the Excel that we can find Shilpa, whereas in the sheet 5, in the 7th, we don't find Shilpa row, entire row, we don't find it over here. Okay, I hope you understand how to remove the row from the data table by using remove data row activity by using the inputs of row as well as row index. Thank you for watching UiPath tutorials. If you have any queries related to this concept, please post them in the comment section. I will see you in the next session. Till then, bye bye. Have a nice day.